one can understand a little bit more about maps, how they function in a different culture, by looking at an encounter between the Powhatan Indians and John Smith that possibly the famous rescue story is a part of. The story is this. John Smith describes how he was out with an exploratory hunting party. They stopped to get a meal, and Smith, as was his nature, went off a little bit beyond, apparently saw an Indian in the bush and tried to beat a retreat and got stuck in the mud, literally stuck in the mud. And he was taken captive by a group of Powhatan Indians. And he tried then to, this is a little bit of interpretation, but he tried to turn his capture into something else. He was not sure if he was a captive, and he didn't want to act like a captive, and he had his compass with him. So he then wanted to present the compass to Powhatan, to the leader of the Indians. And this was arranged, and apparently there was enough communication between Smith and Powhatan that Smith then turned his presentation of this compass into a geography lesson. And he described how the land that he came from had millions of people, and insinuating these people were going to come and rescue him. Powhatan then gave Smith a geography lesson. This is tit for tat. These are kind of equals going back and forth. What Powhatan did is he marched Smith from town to town so they would realize how big and how powerful and how extensive his confederacy was. The famous rescue might have been staged by Powhatan to indicate to Smith how powerless he really was, that he had to have a little girl, or a young lady, save his life. But the climax came when then Powhatan gave Smith a geography lesson. And it was not a matter of instrumentation and scientific explanation, as Smith, product of the Renaissance and so on, was apparently giving to Powhatan, but it was a traditional, probably Neolithic ceremony that probably was repeated in Neolithic cultures all over the world, is a representation of their earth, their world, in dramatic fashion. It took 3 days. You can't respectfully see a map of the world in less than proper time. It has to be done with certain ceremonies, certain incantations, certain dances. They start with the campfire. That's the axis mundi. That's the center of the earth. That's what everything revolves around, just like the Mississippi Delta was on our first map. The campfire starts. And then, maybe several ceremonies later, the circle of ground meal is laid around the campfire. And then around that, the outer limits of North America, or where the Powhatan Indians, where their knowledge was dissipated at the edge of the sea, another concentric circle is laid down. Smith describes all this, how it's done, of corn, whole corn kernels. And then finally, there is another edge, which is the edge of the world, or the edge of the human existence. Another circle, again, of ground corn. And then Powhatan indicates where Smith came from by a group of little sticks placed towards the edge of the world. That a map is functioning in this culture in a much different way than that first map functioned in our culture. And that it was, in a sense, paying respects to the Creator and kind of an ode of thanksgiving.